Winning formula time on Vikings GamePlan. Welcome back to the TCO studios. Wabi, Vikings.com. Ron Johnson, Vikings Game Day Live. Miss Courtney Cronin from ESPN and ESPN.com is our featured analyst this week. Into this Bears game, Sunday Night Football. Let's begin with this. Courtney, you get first crack at it. What makes the Bears so good?
Wow, loaded question, PA, but I'm going to go back to something I said in June when we were going through the best newcomers to the NFC North. Yes, Kirk Cousins and obviously then Khalil Mack would go into that conversation. But at that time, I said the Bears receiving core. They spent so much time and effort in free agency and in the draft to get this group where it needs to be in order to get that speed on offense that they just haven't had in a number of years. That's one of the first things Mike Zimmer said when I asked him what's different about this group this year. It's how quickly things go on offense. And obviously, too, with Matt Nagy and that Kansas City influence, Zimmer said he has about 800 plays. You can't practice them all. And then Nagy decided to refute that and say only 750.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'd say red zone efficiency. You look at Trubisky last year, he wasn't great at it. This year, the Bears, not only defensively, they're really good in the red zone, offensively. So defensively, they're holding teams to less than 4.28 yards per attempt. Offensively, he's putting the ball in the end zone. 22 touchdowns, they're right up there with the Patriots as far as red zone scores. So I think that's what makes the Bears really efficient is that Trubisky is willing to just take chances, and he's only thrown one pick.
And with Trubisky in his second year, when he runs to score.
Yeah, he does. I think that his level of play has gone up with the addition of head coach Matt Nagy, very similarly to what we saw with Jared Goff and Sean McVay. I think that Matt Nagy and his experience being with Andy Reid in Philadelphia and Kansas City and nurturing quarterbacks and designing modern offenses that can attack these defenses, that has been the difference for the Bears. It's a really good offensive design, and it's allowed Trubisky to succeed.
Tariq Cohen, linebacker, safety, nickel guy. Like, how do you handle Tariq Cohen?
I mean, it's tough, I think, with so many of the misdirection things that they run, and their backfield looks so different, I think, this year, even with Matt Nagy, that they're able to kind of utilize a lot of different chess pieces. I mean, I think it's probably a nickel look. I think he's just so quick there that's probably the way that you want to stop him.
Really, when I ask what's the best way to contain Khalil Mack, I mean, seriously, is there an answer?
No, I think Khalil Mack is so versatile. I think you have to be versatile in how you try to check him. I mean, I think you have to double him. I think you have to chip him. I think you have to run at him. And sometimes your lineman just has to be better than him. And that's very difficult to do.
Yeah, I say you can't block him man-to-man. You have to make a chocolate call, and that means somebody's going to chip him. Your running back has to chip him. And sometimes you just have to double and say our running back's not in the play this time because we have Khalil Mack. Every once in a while, I've seen Peyton Manning do this. You might want to make him the mic. And then you just say, hey, that's the mic.
Yep.
We're all going to shift the blocking to his way. If anybody else comes, backside receiver, you're hot. And so that's how you have to account for Khalil Mack. But you have to be careful, too, because they do a delayed blitz with the middle linebacker for that reason, because everybody's watching Mack. You assume that backer's covering, and then he has a 2-second count, and he's going to blitz the quarterback.
I mean, if you can't put three guys on him, I think a lot of this is going to fall back on Kirk Cousins to be able to get that ball out quickly, because one thing with Khalil Mack, we know he's a really good rusher. That's a moot point. That's the bottom line. His physicality, though. Mike Zimmer mentioned that one play where he gets to Matthew Stafford by beating the chip at the tight end and then mauling the offensive tackle and then just, supermaning himself onto Matthew Stafford. That's the type of stuff that you expect from this guy. So with Kirk Cousins and, being back there in the mobility in the pocket, he's got to move around quickly, and he's got to make really quick decisions to avoid that type of play from happening.
Yeah, and I think that Pete pointed out something interesting in the film study, and it was the Detroit Lions with Matthew Stafford holding the ball and long developing routes. You can't do that against this front.
Yeah.
They're too good at rushing the pass.
I'm going to say, if you look at the play she's talking about, though, the tight end was supposed to be the double team, and he just whiffed.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And then you look at Decker, he's had past issues with Khalil Mack at Ohio State when Khalil Mack played him in college. He couldn't block him then. So I know in his mind when he saw him coming full speed, he's like, crap, here we go again. I lived this moment before, and it happens. He runs him over. So honestly, I mean, I love our tackles, but you cannot leave them on islands, and you cannot deep set on Khalil Mack and let him get a full head of steam.
And for the Minnesota Vikings offensively, what do you think the offense needs to do in this game to win this game?
Well, it's an outdoor game. We know that. Soldier Field's a really tough place for them to play. So starting with the run. The runs look different in the last few weeks, particularly with Dalvin Cook coming back against Detroit. Mike Zimmer mentioned about the 15-yard line. Once they get in there, they have to be more effective running the ball because it's just, you have such tight windows and you have to be able to take some of that pressure off Kirk Cousins. So when I'm taking a look at this matchup, I'm looking at Dalvin Cook, I'm looking at Latavius Murray, the load that they're able to share once they get inside the red zone to be able to go down there and pound it and get some points on the board.
Yeah, I'd say you have to be very careful on third down. Right now, the Bears are 6.3% of their third down plays have been turnovers, which is first in the NFL. They're focusing on, if we know Khalil Mack can get you scared, you might either fumble, throw it away, or throw a pick to us, and they're very opportunistic. 25 turnovers as a team is second right now in the NFL. So they're just doing a great job of not only picking it off, but creating fumbles. And then we saw Khalil Mack. I mean, he did it all. He picked the ball off, he created a fumble return, and scored a touchdown. So he's a one-man highlight film, and you have to account for him on every third down play. We know we talked about Kirk Cousins and his timing in his head. It was a little bit off, and he watched some of those plays and when he sacked and got fumbled and what's going on. But he's going to have to be very careful of not holding the ball like Matthew Stafford did.
There is going to be a matchup that the Vikings like somewhere on the field. And so you have to find that, and then you have to be able to exploit it. Is it whoever Prince Amukamara tries to check? It could be that one. Right. I mean, so you got to find what you like, and then you got to go to it. Stephon Diggs, we're thinking is going to be back in this game. That's going to help. So Thielen or Diggs should have a matchup that you like. You know, the Bears have not seen Dalvin Cook yet. I mean, so having him back is going to be interesting, particularly in the passing game.
I think the screen game, exactly. You have two really athletic tackles. And this offensive line, where it is right now, I think it's in a good place that you can get out to the second level. I mean, you see on that inside zone run how explosive he can be.
Dalvin Cook, big running room. Electrifying rookie a season ago was Cook before the injury, and he's excited to be back.
Adding that element back into this game plan that they weren't able to do just because of the injury and uncertainty, that gives them a different element on offense and makes them more explosive.
Courtney Cronin, ESPN, ESPN.com. Ron Johnson, Wabi, I'm Paul Allen. On behalf of all of us here at the TCO studios and with the Vikings Entertainment Network, enjoy the first place feast between the Vikings and the Bears, and thanks for watching.